Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 16th of November and we are going to discuss two very important topics which are in news. But before going into the discussion, I just hope that all of you've spent your festivities in a grand style with your family members. Some of you might not be able to visit your homes. I hope you've celebrated it with people around you. And you know, this festival brings us a lot of joy, cheer, and as aspirants, it is important to be part of such festivities, but it is more important to be back to work after the festivities are over. I know it is difficult for, all of us to get back to our routines when we are away from our daily routine, enjoying the festivities, enjoying time with family members and all. But yes, if we have to achieve our goal, we need to bounce back and as soon as possible be there on our track. So let us start with these two topics which we are going to discuss today. Joe Biden and Xi Jinping meeting. Now, China and USA, the two rivals we can say in the present day era, world's largest economies. The largest economy is USA, no doubt, followed by China. In many sense, they are considered as rivals. And these two people or these two leaders are meeting on the sidelines of Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. There's a summit of APEC. This summit is scheduled in USA only. So Xi Jinping is visiting USA not for bilateral meeting but for this APEC summit. So today's lecture is largely surrounded by these two topics. What topics can be expected during their discussions? And this APEC, details of APEC, what is APEC? India is a part of APEC or not? Obviously, India is not part of APEC, but what are the reasons why India is not part of APEC? What will be the advantages if India becomes part of APEC? All these things will be covered in this topic today. So let's get started with the very first topic. Joe Biden and Xi Jinping meeting. This meeting has to be understood first that it is not a bilateral meeting. Neither it is a state visit by Xi Jinping to USA. Xi Jinping is visiting USA for participating in the APEC summit, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. On the sidelines of APEC summit, Xi Jinping will be meeting Joe Biden. What are the probable agendas they will be discussing? They will be discussing about military cooperation. That is something unique. They will be discussing about trade, how to enhance trade. They will also be discussing about new age technology elements like semiconductors and all, because there is a tiff between USA and China with respect to semiconductor trade. And it is also hopeful that these two leaders will be discussing about the global issues like the situation in Middle East or West Asia, the situation in Russia and Ukraine. All these will be discussed. Now, China has got a certain amount of, I would say, presence in West Asia. Why? Because China brokered a peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran in March this year. And Iran is wanting to complicate the war situation or the conflict situation in West Asia. So it is expected that USA will, press China or request from China to persuade Iran not to complicate the war situation in West Asia. These are the probable agendas which will be under consideration when these two leaders meet. Let us look at the details of this particular topic now. So Joe Biden and Xi Jinping will meet before Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit to prevent an intensive rivalry from veering into conflict. Now we need to understand one more thing is that these countries, USA and China, these are the world's largest economies. It seems that USA is feeling a rival or USA is seeing China as a big competitor. According to some reports, by 2050 or 60, China's economy is expected to surpass USA's economy and become the world's largest economy. So obviously, no one likes to be dethroned from the top. That is why USA sees it as its rival. So this meeting is in itself very significant. Probable agendas. First is boost communication between the two, I would say, rivals. Cover global issues such as Middle East conflict, Russia invasion of Ukraine. Then Taiwan is an issue. Now Taiwan is basically, let's suppose this is China, this is mainland China. It is called as People's Republic of China, and there is an island over here. This island is called as Formosa Island, or Barmosa Island also it is referred to as, or in common parlance as Taiwan. Now Taiwan is a democratic, I would say, country. It claims itself to be a country, but China claims Taiwan to be part of China. Now this will also be under consideration. Why? Because there are elections in Taiwan this year, and China expects USA not to interfere in those elections or electoral processes. USA interfering in those electoral processes, meaning that USA is recognizing Taiwan. So this is going to be one of the agendas. Then human rights issues. There are a lot of reports about China violating human rights for people in Taiwan, in the Xinjiang province also. Things are wrong. So it is like this. And trade relations have to be strengthened between these two world's largest economies. USA-China trade is approximately around $620 billion per annum. It can be more than 620, but at least it is this much. This is a very, very big figure in itself. India's largest trading partner, USA, trade less than $200 billion, around $190 billion it is expected. Now just imagine $600 plus billion. So this is how the trade relations are. Now what deals can we expect? First is re-establishing military to military ties with China. This is important because, it is believed many instances happened, like last year there was this hot air balloon which was spying, or which was, I would say, caught in USA. That was proved to be a Chinese balloon. USA officials said that China is trying to spy on USA by using such tactics. So the military relations were, I would say, not in a very good state, but they want to re-establish military ties. And this is something very unique that, rivals trying to do this. Then trade in the potent synthetic opioid drug fentanyl. This is an opioid drug which is actually a painkiller. It is largely administered to cancer patients suffering from acute and severe pain, and other diseases also where pain is there. So this drug is, I would say, imported from China. So USA wants this, and for that China is demanding that we will send this drug to you, but China is demanding that, you have to lift human rights sanctions on China's Police Forensic Institute in return. So this may be under discussions. Then next point, with elections in Taiwan in early 2024, that is next year, political analysts expect China to seek US assurances that it will do nothing to encourage pro-independence elements in Taiwan, because China does not want that level of democracy in Taiwan. Actually, China does not recognize Taiwan as a country. While Xi will also be hoping to persuade Biden to ease up on tariffs and export controls that aim to keep most advanced semiconductors from being sent to China. So there are kind of export bans or moratoriums levied by USA that restrict export of semiconductors, and it is highly in demand to China from USA. So they're expecting to talk on this issue as well, because everyone needs semiconductors. We are in a digital age, and China is manufacturing semiconductors, but latest technology and all is there with USA in this respect. Then in a separate dinner with business leaders, the Chinese president, there's a dinner scheduled with business leaders in USA. The Chinese president will be looking to boost flagging investments by US firms in China. China wants investments by US firms. So China will be doing this meeting to invite such investments. The leaders may highlight plans to increase commercial flights between the two countries. So, commercial flights increasing means a lot of diaspora living. Commercial flights increasing means trade also increasing, although very fractional amount of trade happens through the flights. So, this will be there. And Biden is also expected to urge China to use its influence with Iran, because China's influence over Iran has increased because China brokered a peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia in March 2020. We have discussed about this deal previously. So China has a lot of influence over Iran. Iran is trying to complicate the situation in West Asia by indulging in the war over there between Israel and Hamas. So USA is supporting Israel, obviously. So USA is trying to, influence China to, or motivate China or talk with China that, use your influence on Iran and tell Iran to stay out of the war. So it is basically these agendas which will be under discussion. How will the meeting impact the market? Actually, the markets all over the world, any kind of conflicting situations or any kind of, I would say, those kind of situations which are leading to, I would say, rivalries or I would say strained relations, the market sentiment is always low in such kind of scenarios. Strained relations between USA and China will lead to, I would say, less flow of money or less, I would say, flow of investments from one place to the other place, which will ultimately, restrict the economic activity of the world. And the world needs more and more economic activity right now. So those kind of strained relations definitely will have a negative impact on overall economic activity. But, nations coming closer, talking to each other, trying to resolve their conflicts, they can impact the market in a positive sense, especially in this APEC region, that is Asia Pacific region, where these 21 countries are part of this community, APEC community or APEC group. Easing of US-China tensions and progress on that score would be viewed positively, but political analysts say any improvement in the mood could be only temporary. Why temporary? They also have their logic. They say that elections in Taiwan early next year, that is in 2024, and in USA also, November 2024, there are presidential elections. Things might change after those elections. If a new president is there in USA, which is hardcore anti-China or hardcore pro-China, the equation will change. So this mood can be temporary. Also, the officials in USA, they are claiming that nothing drastic is going to happen. Just routine normal talks are going to happen on the issue. It is not like the rivalry will end. It is not going to happen. These are the statements given by some USA officials involved in this meeting of these two political leaders, that is Xi Jinping and Joe Biden. So let us see and be hopeful what happens, and we should always, have a close eye on such developments. So this is it about the meeting. Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. This grouping is a grouping of the Asia Pacific region. I would say the Pacific Rim countries are part of this grouping. When did this grouping came into existence? It came into existence in 1989. The Prime Minister of Australia actually mooted this idea at that time that there should be a formal grouping. It came into existence in 1989, but it was formalized or institutionalized in 1991-92. This grouping consists of countries in the Pacific Rim region. And what is the main agenda of this grouping? It is sustainable economic development of those countries. Is India part of this grouping? No, India is not part of this grouping. Has India planned to be part of this grouping, or has India, I would say, applied for the membership of this grouping? Yes, India did apply for the membership of this grouping. But India did not get the membership of this grouping because there was no consensus which was built up for India's inclusion. In 2007, India's membership was rejected because of the reason that India's economy is not too much integrated with the world economy. It is integrating right now. These were the reasons given. Will it benefit India if India becomes part of APEC? Yes, it is going to benefit India in many ways. But there will be certain challenges also. Because with these countries, India has a trade deficit. Trade deficit means we are importing more and exporting less. If we become part of APEC, that trade deficit might increase. We are also having an investment deficit with these countries. That investment deficit might also increase, which are not in favor of India. So these are the reasons why India shouldn't be part of APEC, or these are the arguments which should not let India part of this grouping. So let's get started with this. The Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, established in 1989 to leverage the growing interdependence of Asia Pacific region. 21 members are there. We'll see the members also of this grouping. Is it important to memorize? Yes, it is important to memorize the members. Create greater prosperity for the people by promoting balanced, inclusive, sustainable, innovative and secure growth by accelerating regional economic integration. The 21 member countries collectively account for nearly 50% of the world's trade, and 57% of the world's GDP. 50% of the world's trade and 57% of the world's GDP is there in these 21 countries. Origin of APEC, this idea was mooted by the Australian Prime Minister Robert Hawke in January 1989. Was there any predecessor to APEC? Means any organization in that region was it existing? Yes, there was one organization named as Pacific Economic Cooperation Council, PECC, which consisted of a group of business, academics and government representatives. It is kind of, I would say, informal grouping, because only government officials are not present, or ministerial level meetings are not happening. Academics are also there, business people are also there. So this kind of grouping was existing since 1980. And the first meeting of Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation was held in Canberra, Australia on November 6-7, 1989. So when this idea was promoted or mooted by the Australian Prime Minister Robert Hawke, PECC actually endorsed this idea. They said that yes, it is a very good idea, and hence PECC only enabled the meeting of this APEC. Members of PECC and APEC were almost similar. When was it institutionalized? It was institutionalized in the year 1991. Institutionalized means it was formed as a proper organization and institution with headquarters or secretariat. The headquarters was opened in Singapore. Okay. China, Hong Kong was also and Taiwan, they were also included in this grouping in 1991 with its institutionalization. Ministerial level, meetings started happening in APEC. So all this, what happened, it started in 1991. The institutionalization was completed in 1992 with this establishment of a permanent secretariat or a headquarters in Singapore. The members, there are 21 members, as we all know. So here we have, the green ones are the ones who joined in 1989, means the founding members these are. The purple ones, like this, that is China, they joined in 1991. Chinese Taipei means Taiwan. Then we have another member joined in 1991, which was Hong Kong. Hong Kong is here. That also joined in 1991. At that time, it was under Britishers. It was a British colony. Then 1993, Mexico joined and Papua New Guinea joined. 1994, Chile joined. Then 1998, all these countries like Russia and all joined. Russia, Peru and all joined. So presently it is having 21 countries. They are here in this Pacific Rim. This is called as Pacific Rim. You will study it in geography also. Pacific Rim of Fire it is called as. But yes, Pacific Rim of Fire is basically those areas where active volcanoes are present. And Pacific Rim countries are called as these countries which are there in this Pacific Rim of Fire. Notable fact, USA is there, Russia is also there, USA is there, China is also there in this grouping. So you have to memorize the names of all these 21 members. It is important. India and APEC. India has long been interested in APEC. We actually first requested APEC membership in the 1990s and not considered because there was a moratorium on new members, which moratorium initiated in 1997. Means APEC decided that we are not going to include any new members as of now. However, that moratorium was lifted later. It was lifted in 2010. India has been an important destination for APEC members' foreign investments. If we see FDI coming into India, Singapore, Japan, USA, they are always among top 5 FDI sources in India. So we have connections, good connections with, or economic connections with the APEC members. Why India has not got membership of APEC? India was denied APEC membership in 2007 on the ground that its economy was not integrated into the global system. But it is a big question that now in the present day world, will anybody think like this on the same lines? Everyone wants to integrate with India or connect with India. But let's see. Lack of consensus means all the 21 members did not agree to inclusion of India in this grouping. Obviously, we have members like China, so there will be difficult situations for India. Then fears of disrupting consensus procedures was also there. Extra regional status. India is not part of the Pacific Rim. That is why this extra regional status of India can also be a challenge. India is part of Indo-Pacific, but not part of Pacific Rim per se. Pacific Rim was that region which I showed you through the maps. We'll again go back to the map. This is basically Pacific Rim. And India is over here. So India is out of this Pacific Rim region. That is why, probably this can also be one of the reasons. But yes, this is not a very big reason that India cannot become part, because India is out of that region. Exceptions are there. So under exceptional circumstances, India can be included. A large trade deficit in India. This reason was also highlighted by experts from India, that if India becomes part of APEC, then this trade deficit might increase, which definitely will not be in our favor. We already have a very large trade deficit with countries like China, countries like Russia. So that should not increase. Advantages for India to become, member of APEC. Definitely, it will allow India to negotiate trade, integrate with the global economy and help boost growth in the country. So definitely that will be good. It will also be beneficial for our Act East policy. We'll be able to pursue or successfully implement our Act East policy in a better way. It promotes development of small and medium enterprises. This is something which is very, I would say, a noble thing or a noble initiative under APEC. The APEC countries, they try to promote these small business houses. So small business houses in India, they can also get promoted. Employment generation will be very good then. APEC mechanisms and best practices will help Indian officials and businesses become more competitive and better prepared for the changing global economy. So that can also be a factor, that can also be one of the advantages, that it can help, India to become better prepared for the global challenges in the 21st century. So this was all about APEC. India not joining APEC. Reasons. Has India tried? Yes, India has definitely tried. It will benefit India, but there are some cautions as well. We need to understand and, live rightly on those cautions as well. So this is it from today's session. I will be meeting you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. And till then, you guys know very well what to do. Keep studying, keep reading, keep writing. Most importantly, keep revising. Namaste. Jai Hind.